It is January 1st. It is 6:40 in the morning. Happy New Year to those who celebrate this as the new year. So, I'm just going to jump right on in. I'm going to jump right on in. And I previously made a video on this, but I did delete it because in the time I felt like I was just in my feelings. And I really don't like to create content just out of emotion and just jumping in without kind of reflecting on my thoughts and opinions of what I'm going to share and put out to the world. But I've had some time to kind of reflect on the fact that I actually do stand on this, and I've been feeling like this for a long time. And at one point in my life, it was just very uncomfortable to talk about because it seemed like most people around me valued the idea of family and relationships and oh, because we're blood, we'll always be family. And a lot of people would feel like this even when they knew their family wasn't treating them right, or they were just hell bent on misunderstanding them or trying to make them something that they wanted them to be. Or again, this idea that just because we're blood related, we have to continue to deal with certain things from our quote unquote family, or which I think is more appropriate, are relatives, because being related doesn't make you family. That's just me, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that feel like that as well, but that is definitely one of my sentiments. We can be blood related, that's fine, but does that make you my family? Absolutely not. You're blood related to thousands of people living, right? But a lot of them don't even know you. They don't know you from a can of paint. They don't know your first name. They don't know. They don't know you like that. You don't know them like that. So the other part of my title here is the cost of transformation, because when you're on this journey of becoming, I see it as two different ways. You can see it as becoming something new, or you can see it as becoming something you were always meant to be, which is new to you in a sense, but it was always there. So it kind of just depends on how your perspective is, how you look at it. But let's just call it becoming something new. When you're becoming something new, not only are you going to have to continue to get to know yourself, other people around you are going to have to continue to get to know you. And most people are not going to do that because they're going to see you how they've always seen you. They're always going to have this picture in their mind of who you are, and they can't fathom the thought that you could change, that you could transform, that you can become better, that you can become stronger, that you can set boundaries, that you can have a firmer sense of self, a firmer knowing of yourself. Now they don't know you, they don't know this new person. So they have issues with that. They want to try to control the narrative. They want to try to control who you are or what they used to know you as, but they don't know you anymore when you're on this journey. Even you, if even you yourself have to go back to getting to know yourself, what makes you think those people don't have to? And most people don't want to do that. They want to have this place in their mind and they want you to stay in that place. You know, I literally recently had somebody tell me when I set a boundary, which over the years I had to learn to do verbally. I had somebody tell me, "Do I even know you?" No, you don't. You don't know this version. So, no, you do not know me anymore. You have to get to know me. And this friend I had been friends with, it was a new friendship. Let's say maybe about 1 or 2 years. So yeah, in that sense, it was a very new relationship. There was a lot of things we had to get to know about each other. And relationships are constantly going to get to know each other anyway in a relationship. Things are going to continue to unfold, even as that person continues to grow and develop in themselves. They also have to get to know themselves. You have to get to know you as well. So in a relationship, you're constantly going to have to get to know each other, setting new grounds for boundaries, for limits, for what's enjoyed, what's loved, what's valued, etc. So again, sometimes people don't want to go through that process, even with their own selves. They don't want to go through that process with you. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's going to cost the relationship. So I've had to learn time and time and time again, unfortunately, and going back to certain relationships, thinking that things could change, things could be better. That unfortunately, in a lot of relationships, it's not gonna be that. If a pattern is already set, if who you are is already set in someone's mind, that's how it's gonna remain most of the time. And as you're continuing to grow and transform, you cannot stay stuck in that situation. Unfortunately, you're going to have to remove yourself or you're going to have to remove them because y'all are not going to continue to be on the same playing field. Somebody's going to have to move. So that's just what I've been learning on my journey. And for that, in me saying I don't value friendships or relationships does not mean I'm not open to them. I'm always open to relationships that align with me, though. But if they are not willing to align, or we're not willing to grow, or we're not willing to respect one another for who we are at the time, no, it could go. At this point in my life, a relationship can go quicker than it came in, baby. Period, point blank. And a true journey of transformation is very solid. And that's another reason why a lot of people cannot truly do it. They have to hold on too tight to relationships that don't serve them. They themselves don't want to do the transformative work. They don't want to go to the depths of the shallow of the valley, what that book says. Valley in the shadow of death and fear no evil. People don't want to go through them valleys. Oh, it can get real spooky. For sure. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not a game. And most people are not gonna be able to do it. Most people are not going to be able to do it. So because they can't do it, they have to hold on to the version that they are themselves, knowing that a newer version is being called in to grow into, but they won't be able to face themselves. They won't be able to face the loneliness that might come with it. They won't be able to fathom that this journey is going to be a solo one, probably for a long time, because most relationships are not going to be able to come with you. Most people are not really going to be able to come with you. And most people can't do that. Most people can't even, you know what I realize? And you have to, when you're on this journey too, and you can see, you have to be able to see almost past what you're seeing. You got to be able to see the unseen. Okay? So basically, I was staying with a friend for a little while because I'm in this point where it's been shown to me that family is just not going to be family for me. I don't live by the original definition of what we deem as family. I don't live by that just because we're related. Okay, so I was staying with a friend for a while, and we're in a very intimate space, and I'm finding that this friend don't like being in the dark at night. You know how a lot of people like to sleep with like TVs or some kind of noise. They gotta have some kind of noise or light and things. And to me, that always signaled something deeper. Why are you afraid of the dark? Why are you afraid of the dark? What is it that you're afraid of? A lot of people will say like their minds are running, they don't want to deal with their thoughts. They don't, they have to have some kind of noise. It's too quiet. Why are we afraid of quiet? Why are we afraid of the dark? You see, I'm laying in the dark, but it's also about 7 o'clock in the morning. Why are we afraid? Let me see. I'm just now seeing the comments here. Oh Lord. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. All right. Why are we afraid of the dark? Why are we afraid of quiet? Because we're afraid of ourselves. when we're afraid of those things. No bueno. No bueno. See, my life has been the darkness. Dwelling in that space where I couldn't see, where it was uncertain, where it was quiet, where I had to deal with what was coming up in my thoughts, what was coming up from my past, what I was concerned about the future. All of that. You have to face all that on this journey. There's no being afraid of the dark, being afraid of quiet. And that was another thing about this friend too. She was so afraid of silence. Was just like, oh, you're not talking to me. We hop on this phone. Oh, well, what's wrong? Even though there's things actually going on in my life. So yeah, I'm already naturally a quiet person. You know, I could talk, but I'm naturally a quiet person. I don't have to fill my space in with noise. I've never been like that. And that seemed to bother this friend because she's one whose world had to be filled with some kind of noise, some kind of light, or constantly had to be chatter. And that already was something that was not resonating as a friend, as this is a new friendship on top of that. You know, and a part of my transformation journey is also learning to respond and not react. Excuse me. Learning how to communicate with emotional maturity without emotional reaction. And as I'm coming into this new part of myself that is the complete opposite of who I used to be, I now get to sit in the observer side to see that a lot of people react emotionally, they communicate emotionally instead of with presence, with poise, with patience. And at this point in my life, that is no longer something I do. That is no longer something I resonate with. Response. We respond now instead of react. We set boundaries, even in a bind. That's something I'm getting ready to work on writing about on my next blog. Boundaries in a bind. Setting boundaries, even when you're at a place where you think, oh, I'm not in the position to do so because this person is helping me, or I'm in a low space right now. So, you know, they may treat me like this, they may talk to me like that, but oh, there's not much I can do or say because I'm in a bind. No, we're getting into a place now where you still don't sacrifice yourself no matter what. Even if that means you gotta walk away and you don't know where you're going. That's where you get to that place of you're not sacrificing yourself anymore. You're not allowing certain things to just go anymore just because you're in a certain space where you feel like you won't be held or carried or guided or wherever else. And it takes time to get to that point. It does. I wasn't always there. But at this point in my life, life has had to show me that I have no other choice. I have no other choice but to keep moving. So, this is why friends, family, the idea of family and all that, they're not really values to me. Doesn't mean I don't want relationships. Doesn't mean I'm not open to relationships at all. But they're not something I hold so dearly because my journey is very, very solid and a very solo one. So for me, relationships can come and go, and they can go as quick as they can at this point. And it's still a little hard because I have love in my heart. I have unconditional love in my heart, but I can have unconditional love and keep it pushing and love you from a distance. That's just what it is for me at this point in my life. So, yes, this is the cause of transforming. This is the cause of becoming your greatest, highest version of self that a lot of people are not going to be able to relate to. I also had my friend tell me that she couldn't relate to my life as empathetic as she is, as understanding. She just could not relate, and that's okay. People are not going to relate on this journey with you. So that goes into the whole thing of attachment versus detachment. You kind of have to have, even relationships, you kind of have to have a detachment. You have to be willing to walk away. You have to be willing to sacrifice it, even if you love the person, even if you care about the person. We have to be willing to do it. And it can be hard because it's almost a balance of having love, but then not having your emotions too tied into it. So it can be kind of sticky. All I can say is it's an art. That's why they call it the art of detachment. It very much is an art on this journey. And I'm coming into it and I'm proud of myself. It's not as easy as it sounds, and it requires continued work on yourself and continued anchoring in yourself. Excuse me. Continued solidness in yourself. You can't wait for nobody else to do it because you're going to be waiting, you know? So, if you're also on this journey, you consider yourself on this journey of transformation, get ready to walk away a lot. Get ready to stand on business a lot. It's a practice, but it must be done. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. I hope that y'all enjoyed y'all new year. Peace and love.